to episode 3 of the JR Takes podcast. I am Ryan Rogers.
And I am Jonah Hoffman.
So there's a little draft this weekend. Pretty exciting stuff. Our mocks, they didn't do great.
No, I mean you were off to a hot start. You got what, the first 3 out of the first 4 picks correct.
Yeah, I started off hot and I was like, man, ESPN, what are you doing hiring, Mel Kiper and not me? But as the draft went on, I mean, I don't think anyone really predicted how this draft was playing out by by pick 16 or so.
No, I mean, you saw my mock draft. I was wrong the first pick, so it shows you how accurate. And to be honest with you, going down the draft board of the first round, I might have gotten some players to certain teams correct, but as far as overall picks go, I only got one pick correct. So, and that was Drake London of the Falcons. So, as I said on my Facebook post earlier in the week, Falcons fans, beware, because that's not exactly a good sign that the only pick I got correct was to your franchise. So,
well, I think, and we'll get into this a little more later, but I think the biggest, thing here that was surprising everybody was that there was no Malik Willis in round 1, and then there was no Malik Willis in round 2, and then we were at the bottom of round 3, and he still hadn't gotten picked.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal with that was. I think maybe just like everyone has been saying, the raw talent. It's like he's basically going to be a project for any team that takes him on, and I think him going to the Titans kind of makes a lot of sense because Ryan Tannehill's been in the league for a long time. 2012 is when he got drafted. So
yeah, same age as Russ, more or less.
Yeah, and so I think he can learn a lot from Tannehill. Tannehill himself has been on a journey. He got 2 ACL injuries back-to-back years in Miami. And so, I mean, that guy probably has a lot of insight on the highs and lows of being in the NFL and probably can just overall teach someone like Malik with his raw talent. He could probably learn a lot from a guy like Tannehill.
Yeah, and I think it was one of the better places he could have landed up, because he's not going to have to start day 1. And that's what I was worried about. I was worried he was going to go to the Giants or the Texans or the Panthers or something like that, or the Falcons, where maybe he wouldn't have been starting day 1, but they're going to go like 0-4 to start the season, and the coach might get desperate and put him in to save his ass. And I think Malik Willis has a really, really bright future, given an adequate amount of time to learn. But yeah, he's super not ready, and I am no QB whisperer, but everyone online whom I have respect for and is a QB expert is saying he's years away from being ready to start in the NFL. I mean, think of how hard it is to be an NFL starting quarterback and reading defenses, and also knowing every single play in the playbook, what every player's doing, and setting the protections for your offensive line. Like, dude, I mean, I barely know the difference between cover 3 and cover 4 when you show me a picture of a defense.
Yeah, so. I mean, I was telling you the other day, Friday, after the morning of the draft, I was like, to be honest, I was a little not too stoked on the Seahawks first round pick in Charles Cross, but then, I gave it some time, time to process. And I was actually really excited the following morning and was watching Cross highlights. And I was even watching just because I knew we were going to go defensive more than likely for the second day, that it got me, I started nerding out and watching videos on like cover 1, 2, 3, and 4, and just because I wanted to know a little bit more about what I was talking about. As far as defenses goes.
But yeah, to wrap that up, Malik has got to be, that's got to be one of the biggest falls in the NFL draft I've ever seen. Probably the biggest.
Yeah, well, when we were watching the draft on ESPN, they were showing the percentages of the quarterbacks that were left that were projected to be either round 1 or round 2 in that regard. And it was the third round, and no one had been taken besides Kenny Pickett still, and
It was
there
like
was
a 1% chance that
there
was
was
going to happen.
there was a less than 1% chance of Malik Willis still being available when he was, and so that's insane right on its own right there. And then each other quarterback that was left, that was Matt Corral, Desmond Ridder, and Sam Howell. All of their percentages were extremely low as well. I think Matt Corral's was like 5%. Desmond Ridder under the 10s. We'll have to find that and pull it up and
pull that stat up. But I mean, I think quarterbacks were the biggest surprise, but I think this is a case of people buying a little too much into the media hype, because before I started following this draft at all I had heard for the past 12 months about the 2022 class is that the quarterbacks were bad. Before I even knew who any of them were, that's what I heard, and all the way back in like 2020, basically. So anyways, I think as the draft got closer, that time gap from combine to draft, it just feels like 6 months, even though it's only like 6 weeks. And that gives the media so much time to hype up people. And, I feel for the kids too, because I'm sure Malik Willis had all these expectations from the media falling around like a lost puppy for 6 weeks straight that he was going to go in the first round. I mean, he showed up to Vegas looking all sharp with his family and had to sit there for so long before he got taken. So I'm glad he's going to a good organization. I mean, I know the Titans haven't won the big game yet, but Mike Vrabel's a great coach. I think that's one of the better places he could have ended up in the league. So, but yeah, I mean, like Desmond Ridder, for example, I thought he was pretty much a lock for the first round as well, from what I was hearing from the media. But again, didn't even get his name called till round 3, but was actually the second quarterback off the board, surprisingly enough. But I think Desmond Ridder actually has an outside shot to be a starter this season. Was actually seeing a lot of comparisons to Marcus Mariota of Desmond Ridder as I was doing some research in the draft. But I think Desmond Ridder has a chance to actually be the guy in Atlanta going forward. I really like him. He's not physically amazingly talented in terms of throwing. He's a great athlete, ran a 4.5 flat, but his arm is like good enough, but not anything you're gonna lose your mind about. But anyways, to recap the first round, so I lucked out with my guess that Trayvon Walker was gonna be pick number 1, and then I feel like it's pretty common sense, and the Lions even locked their pick in after that. What was it, like 10 seconds once they were on the clock to get Aiden Hutchinson? So there are just times, at the top of the draft where it's a no-brainer, when someone's the top prospect, just take him. There's no reason to second guess it. So we both got Ahmad Gardner and Garrett Wilson going to the Jets, though, just in opposite order in your case.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting that pick that I made, Garrett Wilson going for overall. That was a reach. I may or may not have regretted a little bit of my mock draft picks after a couple days after making them, of course. But yeah, I don't know. Like a lot of unexpected things happened in the first round, like you were saying about the quarterbacks, all of them falling to the third round. I kind of think it might be a good thing in the long run for a guy like Malik Willis, because it was probably pretty humbling for him to sit there expecting to go round 1 because of all the things the media was saying. And now, lo and behold, he was a low third round pick. And
he almost made it to the 4th.
And he wasn't even the first quarterback taken. He wasn't even the second quarterback taken. So I think maybe that will bring him back down to earth a little bit. Yeah, he's extremely talented. And I don't even think he's a cocky guy by any means. But you got to think like a young guy coming into the league like that and then fall into the third round. Maybe he is saying to himself, wow, I've got a lot to prove to myself and everyone. So,
well, right to that example, I mean, who's to say would Russell have been the same quarterback if he got picked in the first round? I don't know. All I know is, I mean, I thought it was pretty awesome when Wilson came into the league and was wearing number 3. I never knew if it was confirmed because he was a 3rd round pick, but that's what my brain associated with right away. And I was like, oh, that's kind of badass. But anyways, yeah, I hope all these guys' careers work out. I think Kenny Pickett's in a good situation. And we basically, I mean, it seemed like the most obvious thing in the world that the Steelers were taking a quarterback. But you and I and pretty much everyone else in the world thought that guy was going to be Malik. But I think it makes sense. Kenny Pickett is ready to jump in and play right now. I think, to me, Kenny Pickett reminds me a lot of Matt Ryan, just more athletic, like a lot more athletic. But, I mean, Matt Ryan won an MVP, so who knows? Maybe Kenny Pickett will be something awesome in Pittsburgh. But it's an organization that's proven time and time again that it's built for success. And you got a great defense. They have Najee Harris, so it could work out.
Yeah, and it's funny, you mentioned earlier about Russ and would he be the same quarterback or not if he was taken in the first round. Well, he actually was selected in the first round this draft by the Denver Broncos. They took him at number 9.
Yeah, let's hear that.
Hello?
Hey, Russ, George Payton with the Denver Broncos.
Yeah?
Hey, we're getting ready to pick you at number 9. You're going to be a Denver Bronco.
Oh, George, man, thank you, man. Yeah, it's so excited, man. So excited to be a Denver Bronco.
Can't wait to get you here, get you with our group, get you with our coaches. We're fired up to have you.
What a gift. Yeah, fired up to be a Bronco. I'll see you soon. Broncos country, let's ride. All right.
Yeah, that was terrible overall, but nice acting, Russ. That was, oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, it's so on character for him. It was always cringe. I loved it when he was on our team, but I can acknowledge like there's a lot of corniness there, but I do think it is genuine. That's just how he is. But
I will say ever since he like, I don't know if it's him getting traded for all those picks, but it seems like the corniness has skyrocketed since he's gone to Denver. I mean, maybe
he's got a whole new fan base to brand himself for. So, I mean, kind of makes sense. But yeah, no, I mean, 2023 and beyond, I wish him all the luck in Denver. We got their 1st round pick next year though, so I want them to go 0-17.
Yeah, I don't wish you all the luck in Denver, Russell. I want you guys to fail miserably so we get a good draft pick. And then after that, sure, you can
have fun.
Go to the Super Bowl and throw a pick on the goal line. I could give a shit. But
so what else do we got here? I had, let's see here. I had Thibodeau to the Giants. That was right. I had my tackles flip-flopped, Charles Cross and Evan Neal, with the Giants and Seahawks respectively. I am stoked that the Seahawks got one of the top 3 tackles for the record. But we'll get more into that later. Mm-hmm. One thing I didn't see happening was Derek Stingley going number 3 overall. That kind of shocked me.
That really surprised me. I mean, I know the Texans organization has made some mistakes in the past, but the main guy that was behind the wheel and making those mistakes is gone. And what's his name? Brian. What is that guy's name?
Brian. I can picture his face because he's such a loser. I can't remember his name.
Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But yeah, he's gone. He's out of the picture. So I just I expected the Texans to make some safe picks. I know you chose them to get Ikeem Ekwonu. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised they didn't do something like that or take a guy like Kayvon Thibodeau. Just because those are very safe picks. I had him getting Kayvon, but they went with Derek Stingley, the guy who had, a really good resume, especially from 2019. But yeah, it was just, I think it's a good pick. It was just a little risky just because, coming off an injury like that, he certainly doesn't give you the surefire insert and they will do their thing like the first 2 picks gave you. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing, how the Texans build from the ground up here in the next couple of years. I mean, I'm not looking that much forward to it because they're the Texans, but, You know what I mean? They're
kind of an underdog franchise, and I mean they've only existed for 20 years. They hadn't made the playoffs. You know, when I started watching football till like what was it, 2008 or 9 when they finally made it for the first time. I can't remember, but Matt Schaub. But either way, you know, a few years ago, just 5 years ago, they got their guy in Deshaun Watson and looked like they had the next big thing, and it all blew up in the matter of like 24 months. So I feel for Texans fans if you're out there. It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, that's a complete bottom-up rebuild that's taking place. But I do think it was very smart of them to not pick a quarterback and just see what you got in Davis Mills. I mean, I think a lot of teams these days, it's like if a quarterback doesn't show not just like competence, but above average, like above the 16th best quarterback in the league talent after 2 years, they just ditch him. And
well, yeah, look at Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, and it's not like Baker was bad.
Baker beat the franchise that had been owning them since I've watched football in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not only did he beat them, he kicked their ass in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
so,
and I mean, I don't think Baker Mayfield is ever going to be top 5, but I don't think he's the type of quarterback that's going to hold you back from winning anything. So, I don't know. The NFL is the most competitive place in the world. It makes sense. Teams, you know, if they don't have what they think is their guy, then they're on the look for their guy. But sometimes I feel like people forget these are like 21 to 23-year-old kids coming in and trying to do something really, really, really difficult. So I think it just takes time.
Yeah.
But moving a little more forward into the draft here, we did get some stuff right. So outside the top 10, well, you had Jordan Davis going to the Eagles, didn't you?
I did, yes.
Yeah, so that was a win. I had him going one pick later, but you had Kyle Hamilton going much earlier than he ended up getting picked, right?
Yeah, I foolishly had him going to the Lions.
Oh, that's right.
I just kind of thought the Lions were I thought they were going to go against the media, because they're just one of those franchises that makes a lot of head-scratching decisions. This isn't draft related, but like case in point, when they fired Jim Caldwell, he had a very good resume with the Lions when he was there, and they got rid of him for Matt Patricia, and then Matt Patricia was, as we all know, terrible. But yeah, the Lions just make a lot of head-scratching moves, and I mean, I don't think Kyle Hamilton is like, you know, he was arguably one of the most talented players in this draft, and that's kind of why like I thought they might go with him. I know their secondary needed a lot of help last year, and he just I felt like he fit the Lions mold as far as they took him and the second pick overall. Oh, okay. But yeah, no, they went the other way, and of course Trayvon Walker going number 1 overall pretty much solidified Aiden Hutchinson at the number 2 pick. And so once they took Trayvon Walker, I was like, well, I know my first couple picks are gonna be all wrong.
Yeah,
because
I was banking on that happening, right? Because it really made all the dominoes after that fall into place. But yeah, another thing I thought would happen a lot earlier is Trent McDuffie getting drafted. I mean, he almost fell into the second round, which was really surprising to me because some people had him going as high as like top 10.
Yeah, he went to the Chiefs traded up to get him, didn't they?
Yeah, and one thing that was impossible to predict is the amount of trades that occurred in the draft.
And I think that's why we shied away from doing that, because once you get into trading this and that starts affecting later rounds, and I don't know. That's a lot to consider. Like, for example, the Eagles trading for Jordan Davis. I believe what round did they get Jordan Davis in? 13 or what pick? 13?
They got him at 13, yes.
Yeah, and they didn't originally have that pick. So I can't even really remember who they traded to get him.
Yeah, I mean, at some point that was the Texans pick, but I think even they traded for that. So it's a complicated situation there. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask, who do you think had the best first round?
I think it's pretty clear. I think the Jets had the best first round.
I was gonna say I agree with you there. If not the Jets, then possibly the Ravens. The Ravens had a hell of a first round.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Giants did great getting Thibodeau and Neal. I mean, those are, if they went 1 and 2 in this draft, it would have made sense. They're both extremely talented, and I wanted the Seahawks to get both of them. Obviously, it's impossible to do that, but yeah, it was a great first round. I haven't had the chance to look at every team's full draft, so I can't make a informed statement on any of their entire drafts. But as far as the first round goes, New York, New Jersey, definitely feeling like winners after Thursday night. Getting Jermaine Johnson, Sauce Gardner, and Garrett Wilson. You know, some people thought Jermaine Johnson was the best pure edge rusher in this draft. There was a big argument for the Hawks grabbing him at number 9, but he fell all the way to 26, which actually this was an accidental prediction on my part. I just forgot about Jermaine Johnson when I was doing my mock, and I was like, oh shit, well, he's going to the Bills at 25. So goes to show pure dumb luck happens.
Yeah.
But that was another guy who took a tumble down the draft board on draft day, and I'm not sure why that happened, but I think the biggest factor is people wanted these receivers in this draft. And I remember all the way back at the combine, I was keeping track of it, and it was receiver after receiver running a 4.3, like over and over and over again. I was like, damn, this has got to be the fastest receiver group I've ever seen. And some of these guys are big too. So it's definitely a talented receiving class. And as the market has shown this offseason, it's all about receivers right now.
Yeah, it's kind of surprised me a little bit. I mean, I know we were talking about it a little bit the other day about, the Rams, their receiving corps really sets the tone as far as what you want to have in order to win a Super Bowl. I personally still think it's a little overblown. Look at the Denver Broncos in 2013. They had an amazing set of receivers, and they got shut down. I mean, I know that's almost 10 years ago, but still, I mean, I still am a believer in you build around the defense. Defense wins championships. And yeah, I mean, all these teams, they're going after the talented, having multiple receivers. I really feel for franchises like the Packers. I mean, I had them taking Jameson. I think we both had them taking Jameson Williams. And then you had teams like the Detroit Lions trading up to get Jameson Williams, which I was pretty surprised by because, like I was just saying earlier about the Kyle Hamilton and why I felt like he would go to Detroit. Like they make a lot of interesting decisions in their front office, but that was a good move, I think, on their part, because now they're going to have Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra.
Yeah, and I honestly, back to just draft grades, I think the Lions made out excellently on round 1, because they didn't really give up a ton for their trades. I can't remember the exact, value of what was shipped, but I remember seeing it was not a ton of capital that they had to give up to move up to get Jameson Williams. But yeah, the Packers, you did happen to call that they got Christian Watson. It just was a few picks into the second round later than what you were predicting.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the size and just height and weight overall for Christian Watson. I would have really liked us to get him.
Same.
I don't know.
I'm glad the Seahawks did what they did instead of drafting Christian Watson, but at the same time, he's got some traits that are really exciting. And I think he might enter his rookie season as Aaron Rodgers' new number 1 target.
I think he will.
Who else is going to be? Alan Lazard?
I think you'll plug him in and he'll get going like right then in week 1.
Yeah.
Just because I just think Aaron Rodgers, I mean, a lot of people paint this sort of picture about him like he's a bad teammate, he's a super selfish guy, but I was, seeing some stuff on my Instagram account the other day about Aaron Rodgers loves to go on the Pat McAfee show.
I watched the Pat McAfee show pretty regularly.
Yeah, and he was just saying, I think it was after the first round when they, or maybe it was, I can't really decipher on when the exact time it was, but he basically just said, I'm going to try and work with whatever I'm given and roll with it. And I think I think it's a good sign from Rodgers because he didn't go on there and saying, we better take a wide receiver. We lost Devontae. I mean,
the one thing I have grown to appreciate about Aaron Rodgers, who I'm still not a tremendous fan of, but at the very least, when he speaks to the media or has an interview or whatever, he's transparent. It seems like he's pretty honest and doesn't just, feed the BS that everyone else in their interviews says, good team, great team, play by play, 100%, all that stuff. But anyways, who, or I guess, what was the most head scratching move of the first round in your opinion?
That I gotta say, let me see here. Can you go down the list? I want to say the Kenyon Green pick really surprised me. When was that? Was that 13?
That was 15 I forgot about that. Yeah, 15 to the Texans.
Yeah, well, actually, aside from all the receivers, I thought there would at least be one of my first round pick receivers available by the time it got to Green Bay at 22, but really all of them were gone. I had Jahan Dotson going to the Packers, and he was taken early. I think 16 by the football team, the Commanders.
Yeah, and
that really surprised me. But yeah, the Kenyon Green pick just kind of surprised me, just because I just think. In my personal opinion, guard is. I just don't value it as high as I do other positions, and to take a pick, or to take a guard at pick 15 really was just sort of a head scratcher. Granted, I think Kenyon Green, I had him going late in the first round to the Buccaneers, but I had the Buccaneers taking him because they're a complete team.
Yeah,
and
they don't have a ton of needs.
Yeah, the Texans have needs everywhere. But on the other hand, the Texans are you can only address so many things at a certain time. And the Seahawks, they're building their offensive line, getting the 2 tackles that they did. But yeah, like I said, I personally just do not value guard as much as I do like the tackle position or edge rusher or...
I'll go out on a limb and say even center too. I think center is a more valuable position than guard because it's kind of a lot of teams guard is sort of a revolving door at that position because they get injured a lot. But your tackles are the pillars of your offensive line, and your center's got to be kind of like the nerdy guy that calls the shots and has his head in what's going on every play. So that's definitely one of the picks that surprised me as well. In my opinion, the biggest L of the first round, and granted, what do I know? Maybe he'll be a Hall of Famer, but Quay Walker at 22, Green Bay.
I was gonna say that too.
What are you doing?
The first thing I did when I saw that pick unfold is I went straight to the Packers Instagram page, and I went to the post of them getting Quay Walker, and I just read all the comments of all the Packer fans, because I know if that's one thing I was really worried about the Seahawks doing, is I thought they were going to take a linebacker at number 9.
Yeah, I thought what's his name, Devin Lloyd was a real possibility at number 9, but they didn't end up taking an off-ball inside linebacker at all at any point in the draft.
Yeah, and I mean, Bobby Wagner, when we had him, he was obviously our captain on the defense. And I'm not disregarding or downplaying the importance of linebacker, but I do think corner is one of the hardest positions in the game. So getting a really good corner is a lot more valuable than getting a really good linebacker. And I think getting a difference-making edge rusher, like the edge rushers that went early on, I don't know. I feel like they could have gotten someone of more value at pick number 22. I mean,
I'm right there with you.
I would have taken Kaiir Elam over over Quay Walker. I didn't even have didn't
Yeah,
even
or like Jermaine Johnson.
yeah that or I don't know.
I mean, I think their number 28 pick of Devontae Wyatt, that's good value, and that's a good pick. He's another one of those crazy good Georgia defenders. Both those guys are from Georgia actually, but yeah, no, I thought Quay Walker at 22 was crazy. Again, I'm an armchair analyst, but that's my analysis. What the hell, Packers?
I will say though, in the Packers' defense, I was surprised by the time we got to the Treylon Burks pick for Tennessee when they. Oh yeah, side note, the AJ Brown trade.
Oh
we'll get to that in a
even
second.
happened.
But by the time Treylon Burks was taken, I was like, wow, what receivers are even left that the Packers can draft? And that got me thinking, well, if the Packers if they had 2 first-round picks, I think they should have potentially traded up to get one of these receivers. Granted, they got their guy in
Christian Watson.
Christian Watson.
And he may have been their guy from the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, he's out of North Dakota State. They might have had an easier time getting to watch him scouting wise because it's just closer to Wisconsin than not being close to Wisconsin. So, point being is, I was a little surprised that they didn't try and make any moves trading up, and maybe they did. We don't always know what's going on, but Quay Walker, that pick was the first head scratcher to me throughout this draft, the Kenyon Green and then the Quay Walker, the both of those picks. I was like, oh, okay, and then
the last one that
I knew you were
total pun intended was very strange to me was Cole Strange going to the Patriots at pick 29 out of Tennessee Chattanooga. Just because I saw him, like, let me give you an example. I did a simulated mock draft 7 rounds, and I took Cole Strange in the 3rd round for the Seahawks, and Pro Football Focus gave me an F for doing that in round 3. So that was my, background going into seeing the Patriots do that. I was like, they took him in the 1st round, but I mean, another kind of situation, and this is something the Seahawks do too, which in my opinion is not the greatest process in the world, but if it works, it works. Some teams just have a player type and a player that they want, and they take them when they think they can get them, and it doesn't always match up with what the rest of the league or what the media is thinking. So, maybe the Titans had Cole Strange as a 4th round prospect, but maybe right behind the Patriots, the Chiefs had him as a 1st rounder. You never know. I'm pulling that situation out of my ass, but that one kind of caught me off guard as well. But he's probably going to be a good player, and as you said, I mean, he was on the dean's list like 10 semesters in a row or something like that. So smart player.
Seems like a smart guy.
Yeah,
maybe. And Bill Belichick is all about, he's a genius, so maybe he can be like, oh, I can teach this guy X, Y, Z, and he'll turn into a Hall of Famer.
I have a tendency to not bet against Belichick and what he's doing.
Yeah.
Even if I don't understand it.
Yeah, totally. Any other picks that you noticed were?
No, I mean, besides all just the receivers being taken, so rapidly from picks like 8 to 20. Andrew Booth falling to the mid-2nd was a surprise to me. I did happen to get Sky Moore to the Chiefs right, just a round early. But yeah, other than that, I haven't really dug too much into the draft post round 1 for other teams across the league. So we just wanted to discuss round 1 here and get our take on it. Lots of surprises. My biggest L in my mock draft for sure is my prediction of Sam Howell going to the Saints at pick 19. He ended up falling to the fucking 4th round. So that was pretty bad, but I think he ended up going to the Commanders actually. So could be the heir apparent to Carson Wentz.
Well, I'm actually just looking at my my mock draft, and I actually did not get the Christian Watson pick right. I had him going to Tennessee.
Oh, you did?
So, yeah.
I thought you had him going to the Packers for some reason.
I thought I did too, but I guess not. But no, I had tons of L's in my mock draft. Some I don't want to talk about. Some I would like to address. One of them being the Buffalo Bills taking Breece Hall. That was a pretty big L. He went in the second round, but
He went pretty early in the second too.
But I should have realized no one was gonna take a running back in the first round. That era of making those kind of picks early seems a little bit over.
I think Saquon Barkley, it was the death of that draft strategy. Not because Saquon Barkley was a freak of nature, but dude, running backs get hurt. And I think that's why teams are starting to go more towards a split back, which it's been think of the Carolina Panthers way back in the day when they had those two guys. What were their names? Their running back, the two running backs.
Jonathan Stewart.
Yes.
And
D'Angelo Williams.
That's
who it was. Man, I had to go way back in the archives for that one, but that's an example from 13 years ago or something like that of the split back being very successful. And I think as time has gone on, people like Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor are really outliers in today's NFL. It's more about having two guys and usually a third running back on your team that is the good receiver. So yeah, I think the first round running back is all but extinct, sans freak situations, and typically at the bottom of the first.
Well, yeah, and you saw what's his name from the Steelers, Najee Harris getting drafted last year in the first round, but he went semi late, kind of around the pick as kind of around the same pick as Pickett.
Yeah.
But yeah, and right away you look at the Steelers, and I think about their running back situation, and I'm thinking they better get another guy that can carry that workload because they're going to run Najee Harris into the ground.
Yeah.
And his career is going to be short-lived if they don't, get him some help in the backfield. And I think that was a good call on their part to draft a quarterback to probably spread the ball around, maybe get him a little less reps per game that he was getting last season. I just think Ben Roethlisberger was he should have retired like 3 years ago.
Yeah. No, he
was holding them back.
It was a situation where he had been playing quarterback for so long. He's really, really, really good at, recognizing the situation, and he got the ball out so quick these last couple of years. But good God, anytime he tried to throw that thing down the field, it was like, just, dude, please stop making me watch this. Like, this is miserable, miserable, ugly, filthy, gross football to have to watch. Anyways, someday I'll stop shitting on Ben Roethlisberger on this podcast, but it's not today. Sorry, Ben.
No, sorry, Ben.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the first round of the draft so far. We'll talk more about it throughout the offseason as, training camp comes up and depth charts become a little more clear. But yeah, biggest surprise to me is the lack of quarterbacks and the surplus of receivers.
Yeah, agreed. Surplus of receivers, and really the hot positions this first round were all the receivers getting taken, all the edge rushers, and the corners. I think those were three of the main positions that I guess I expected the edge rushers. I expected that to be high in
surprise
volume.
there.
But yeah, wow, the receivers getting taken early was just it was blowing my mind. It definitely blew up my mock draft board.
Yeah.
Right
definitely
away.
Moving into a new era for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, alrighty. That has been it for us. Thank you for listening, and tune in for the next one.
Yeah, we'll be discussing the Seahawks and how their draft went specifically, kind of gearing away from the NFL as a whole and more towards the Seattle franchise.
Yeah, more towards what I actually know a lot about.
Totally.
So yeah, catch you on the next one. Thanks for listening.
Yep, thanks.